You're listening to The KYLO Show, the podcast where we talk about how to keep your love on no matter what and why whole healthy families are going to save the world. And it starts right now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The KYLO Show. We're back again,
Oh my gosh.
but we have someone new
Oh,
with us.
you probably noticed.
You may have noticed.
If
especially
you're watching,
Mm-hmm.
you've noticed
Mm-hmm.
there is a third person here.
There's another beautiful woman on the set.
Dr. Margaret Nagib or Nagib.
Either one works.
Either one works. Keep them guessing, she said.
Either one
She
works.
is our famous psychologist friend that we all go to whenever our life falls apart.
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
People say, like, who does Danny and Sherry Silk go to when they are in trouble?
Professional.
Dr. Margaret Nagib.
Yes.
Yep.
Neither one.
That's why I charge you double.
Boom. I know. No kidding.
You are amazing at what you do. She's so much fun. We've been working with her all week, and it's just so much fun to be around.
It has been fun. And you guys have been great.
You're a wealth of knowledge. I remember sitting in the course that you've done for us, just listening, thinking, this woman is a genius.
She's a genius.
She
Wow.
is.
Yes.
Thanks.
Everyone needs a little bit of Margaret in their lives.
Everybody
Thank
I
you.
know. Everybody I know calls you up when they're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure.
It's what I do.
Friend, loving on purpose board member.
Yes.
All
That's
around.
new too.
I know.
Yeah.
We're kind of into the first
Mhm.
year of that.
They're sucking me in.
There it is. Here we go. This is what happens. You get too close, just you're in. Now what are we gonna do? It's like Hotel California.
Mm-hmm.
You
Can't
can
check
never
out.
leave. You can never leave. But now you are a co-contributor to our Life Academy.
Yeah. We just filmed an e-course.
We did.
Yeah, it was great.
It was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
We were talking like, well, what should we do? I don't know. She says, well, how about something about stress and trauma?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what?
How about yes?
There's none
Please.
of that in the world.
Please.
Yeah.
Yes.
So overcoming overwhelm,
Mm-hmm.
understanding stress, trauma, and triggers.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
It's something we all can relate to.
Yes.
Right.
Very
great.
good.
Right. Yeah.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
So good. So we met, I don't even know where we first met, but it was 100 years
I
ago?
remember.
No, not 100 years
It was
ago.
in Indiana.
Was it really?
You were doing a conference.
At Valparaiso?
Yeah. And I
Really?
had just decided I was going to move to Reading for a little while.
Oof.
Yeah. And at the end of the prayer time, I walked through the prayer time, and you and Sherry were there.
Yes.
And as I walked by you, I said, "Hey guys, I'll see you in Reading this summer."
Wow.
Little
And
did
you
they
just went,
know.
Okay.
Yeah.
There
You
go.
didn't know me from Adam?
Okay, lady. Whatever.
That's nice.
Like that's never happened before.
And then I had heard you were a social worker in a past life.
It's true.
So
I-
then when I got to Reading, I don't know if you know this, but when I got to Reading, I tracked him down,
Oh,
and I was like, I wanted to talk shop with him,
oh, okay.
and like get the feel for what the psychology industry was like in Reading.
Yeah. Industry. That's a big word for
Yeah.
Reading.
I learned that. I think that's what you said to me 10 years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
The industry.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
But actually, the platform and the reach of Bethel kind of opens it up significantly
Mhm.
past Reading.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we kind of got to know each other around a common interest.
Yeah.
My background in social work, I never got licensed, so I need to throw that out there.
Yeah,
I'm
that's fine.
I'm kind of a non-union.
You can be a part of the club
unlicensed-
anyway.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah,
good.
Yeah. I like to play this game, but never actually got to the big leagues like
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, what I loved about watching you and your crew was you took all the psychological stuff and made it like everyday from the pulpit,
Yeah.
and it was brilliant.
very
and,
sneaky.
and people were, eating it up,
Yes.
and growing
Where
in
is
wholeness
this coming from?
and not
Oh.
even knowing
Yeah.
what was happening.
So lots of
So,
really helpful
I
stuff.
had fun watching kind of you bringing it to a different, venue, so to speak.
Yeah, I remember that when the Israelites left Egypt, right?
Uh-huh.
They basically gathered up all the stuff from Egypt and took it with them out into the desert. And then when God tells Moses, I want you to build me this fantastically marvelous, beautiful tabernacle.
Mm-hmm.
The Israelites had all the components. They took it from Egypt and they built this house for God
Huh.
in the middle of a desert from material they got from Egypt.
Interesting.
Yes.
So that's what you did.
That's
at
kind
the
of what I was
church.
thinking.
Yeah.
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 That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
totally.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. So
So how much overlap is there from like your background and your background is social work? Like how much overlap does that have? Because you're talking like you kind of studied all the same things. You have appreciation for the practical that he brought in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not. I know you obviously
Sure.
really well.
Nice to
We've
meet
done-
you. Yes.
Know you my whole life.
Mhm.
We are just more becoming friends. But I'd love to hear a bit more of like what's the overlap that has happened and that you've so willingly partnered with Loving on Purpose. You chose us. That's what I feel like you chose us.
Yeah. Well, I
You
think
said yes.
You
I
said
think
yes.
the journey that God had me on at that time was, he threw me into the realm of the soul, mind, will, and emotions. I went to grad school. I like to tell people I have a mortgage on my brain that I'm still paying off, to get my doctorate. And, went to a school where I learned about integration of faith and psychology. But God sent me to Reading to really go deep with the spirit, right? We're body, soul, and spirit.
Yeah.
And so I think what I got to watch Danny do was take that more in the realm of the spirit and talk about what does it look like as a spirit-filled Christian to heal your soul, right? Because if your soul isn't whole, then how you interpret spiritual things can get a little.
Twisted.
Little
I'm
sketchy.
I'm
is the
glad you
word.
said it, not me. I would have used a different word.
Yeah.
And so then I got to sit back and watch kind of, like this is what practical, we call it integration in the Christian psychology world. Like, how do you integrate your faith with the science of psychology? And so I got to watch practical integration, but not just integration of like, let's talk about the Bible in a session or let's pray in a session. It was like, how do we bring the presence of God?
Yeah.
That's how I was thinking. How do I bring the presence of God into a session and the power of God for healing into a session? And that's why God dropped me off at the front door in Reading to learn that.
Yeah.
And so he was a model. You were a model to me of that.
And that's what makes you really stand out to all of us who so value the presence of God is the integration work
Yes.
that you became an expert in. So what we would call inner healing in the church, it really begins to be the translation of healing the soul through the spirit
Right.
body combo. So
Right.
body, soul, and spirit wholeness. You are, the highly skilled craftswoman that comes in and kind of introduces electric tools to the church.
Power tools.
Power
That's right. And I remember thinking that's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
So for a season, it was actually right before I got to Reading. God threw some inner healing tools in my hand. I didn't know, fumbled through it, started using them. And what was so fun is all of my psychological tools were not accessible. And God said, let me do it. Watch me. See what happens when you let me do it.
Yeah.
And I would come out of sessions with people, my mind was blown
Yeah.
because I would literally see things like OCD, eating disorders, bipolar healed. And my scientific mind was like, this is not possible.
Yeah.
But my heart and my spirit knew, I've been reading this in the Bible for years, and yet didn't know what to do with it. Because is this hyperbole? Like, does he really heal all diseases? How do I figure that out? So Reading was my season of God showing me how to bring those two worlds together. And now I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Because then when I left Reading, he brought it back full circle. Whereas now I was like, I don't need to use any psychological tools. Those are so piddly compared to, letting God show up in a session. But he started guiding me. Then he started dampening the dial on that. So I would go back to my psychological tools because he wanted me to put the two together.
Yeah.
Because we are body, soul, and spirit.
Yeah.
The word soul is the Greek word psyche, where we get psychology from.
Yeah.
And psychology is the study of your mind, your will, and emotions. And if he designed us that way, then we need healing in all three parts.
So true.
And psychology is just, it's like, the cardiac specialist who gets the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Psychology throws everything at, let's understand the soul and what the soul needs. So when you partner those three things, body, understanding the body and healing the body, understanding the soul and healing the soul, and then understanding the spirit, man, it's like throwing, nitrous into a car engine.
Boom. Oh, here we go. We're on to cars
We're
now.
on to
All of a
car.
sudden, I got an image of my brother and his nitrous oxide in his car engines. So yeah,
A little boost.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I needed models of that, and so your dad was a model of that to me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
I've just heard your name for years and years, and then we met when we did our conference in was it January 2020? That's when I
Yeah.
feel like I first met you.
Yeah.
Maybe in passing I met you somewhere else, but then
That was the first time I ever heard you teach.
When?
Was
At
at
our
our
at your
conference?
your
Yeah.
conference?
Yeah.
we've never heard
Yeah.
you teach
January
come to our
20.
Yeah.
conference.
Thanks for making me do a 12-minute.
You're welcome.
The
You
hardest
know,
thing I've ever done in my life.
That's our job. Our job is to introduce you to tough stuff. Okay, that's what we do here.
Clearly.
I'm starting to see that. Yeah. Well, what's really cool is then what I learned was my psychology world needed more of the spirit.
Mhm.
But then when I was in kind of, a church in a setting where the spirit was really valued and the presence was really valued, what I recognized was, oh gosh, they kind of need a little more psychology,
yeah.
Mm.
right? I mean, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We want to over
And
spiritualize
so-
everything.
Yeah. I mean, we learn from each other, and ultimately it's about bridging any gaps.
Yeah, it's kind of a conditioning that, and then eventually, I don't know if it's getting older, I'm not sure what it is, but all of a sudden, maybe not maybe, it's just the body, like,
The body.
like
yeah.
I just invited a vegan
Yeah.
to a barbecue,
Uh-huh.
right?
You were wondering what
Did we have to bring that up?
Well, it's too late.
Edit that out, Taylor.
The whole thing around wholeness has to do really with, are you sick? Because if you're sick, that affects everything as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was in pain for 12 years with my back, and it affected my personality.
yeah.
It affected my hope.
Mm-hmm.
It affected my energy. It affected so much, and I was in survival mode. Probably the last 4 years, I was just coping with what was expected of me and what I had to do next and what I had to keep doing just to function and as a human
Yeah.
being on this
Yeah.
planet. I had
Yeah.
to keep doing stuff with nothing in sight of this changing, only degrading even further.
Yeah.
And so I was in bad
Absolutely.
shape.
Yeah.
I'm always fascinated how the body, soul, and spirit really do work in a partnership,
Mm-hmm.
and we often try and separate them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if one feels easier to control than the other. Or if is that the default that we feel more control of your body because you work out, you've got that dialed in, but you don't want to talk about your heart or any of those. Like, what is it that we lean towards one that we feel more able to control?
That is such a great question. I think everyone has the one that they lean towards. That they're so when I came, God threw me into that next season because I was too strong up here. Like I had this really powerful soul, and so I start to rely on that soul, and it was like, oh, no wonder I don't. Why is it that when I worship and sing these songs that are like, the Lord is amazing, I don't feel it? Well, because I can't fully access that with my soul. I need my spirit to access that. So I needed to grow in that. So I think a good question we can ask ourselves is, look at your history, body, soul, and spirit. What part of you was nurtured the most? So, I went to got my master's, I got my doctorate. Everything was, my mind was nurtured the most. And so I was strong there, but I wasn't really nurtured in the things of the spirit.
Yeah.
And I wasn't an athlete, so I'm not really, I don't think I was.
But you're
nurtured in
queen at
things of the body
OCF
either.
now.
Yeah, but I
See?
go, yes.
See?
Yes, we're working on that.
Yes.
We're working on that. So, so that's actually how I think about people when they come to me. I think body, soul, spirit. And as they're talking, I go, okay, what part is kind of maybe lacking? And then how can we begin to give them experiences so that they can start to nurture that? So when they
That's
come to
great.
me and say, well, I just don't hear God and I don't know this and I don't know that. Oh, sweetheart, your spirit just wasn't nurtured, was it? And then they go, well, kind of, yeah, no. Okay. So
Yeah.
there's things that we can do to nurture that part of you, or teach you things about boundaries and, emotional health that will nurture that soul part. And then maybe with the body, I found out one point I was extremely vitamin D deficient.
That's
And
from
for
living
a
in
little
Chicago, probably.
while from Chicago. No, it was after I came back from California.
Oh, no.
I don't know why.
Oh.
I think I have to
You were
take it
inside.
for the rest of my life now.
Oh, wow.
But I was in like a few months where I was like diagnosing myself, going, I think I have major depression. And yet I have nothing to be depressed about.
Mm.
And then thank God my doctor was like, this sounds like vitamin D. Started taking vitamin D. It is my best friend.
Okay.
My best friend. So yes, the body, we can have something wrong with the body that then looks like a psychological problem or a spiritual problem, right? We can have something going on spiritually that then creates a physical problem.
Yeah.
Like Luke 13, the woman who was bent over for 18 years. She had a back problem. For 18 years, she was stuck in a, bent over position.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus sees her and he calls it out. There's a spirit that's been afflicting you.
Mm.
He gets rid of that spirit by saying a few things. And then all of a sudden she straightens up and then the next thing she starts doing is praising God.
Mm.
So what does that tell you? It tells you that she could have gone to a modern day ortho guy and they wouldn't have been able to help her because it was a spiritual thing that was oppressing her. But then the fact that she immediately straightened up and praised God tells me that it did affect her spirit. But then the minute that other spirit was gone, the praise came right back to life, So it's kind of fun because you kind of feel like a detective with people.
Sure.
Plus you're talking to God about it. And sometimes I have this game with God, like, well, God, I think it's this. What do you? And then he totally wows me and he just goes, no,
Yeah.
sweetheart, it was that,
Good guess.
And then you have those like the office show moments where you and your client look at each other and you get the wide-eyed thing and you go, oh my God, neither one of us saw that coming.
Yeah.
So partnering with God is just my favorite thing ever.
Yeah, I think that should be most people's favorite thing ever. It's, that's the best place to be leaning into. That's for sure. We've been on a body, soul, and spirit kind of kick lately, just understanding and trying to clarify that message and the alignment and the partnership and how needed it is to be aware of all those things. Because if we don't, it's somewhere suffering, which means you're suffering. That's kind of what it feels like. So.
I think the whole healthy families are going to save the world piece is kind of opened it up for all of us. Like, oh, we have got to take a look at the streams of income, if you will, coming, like what are we drawing from the spirit? What are we drawing from the soul? What are we drawing from the body in our own behaviors if we're going to be doing this? And I think all of us kind of look around and go, oh, we're going to better adjust. And it's a great self-awareness term for us. Whole healthy families is not just about necessarily about keep your love on or loving on purpose. It's very much, when Christian comes in here and he's like, I just got back from the gym. I was going to the gym, and after the gym, I'm going back to the gym. We're like, good grief, dude,
Well, he doesn't sound like that.
Yeah, but that's how I hear it. That's all I hear when he talks. And I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't been to the gym in a long time, and all I think about when I go to the gym is hurting my back. Like I never want to be in that kind of pain ever again. So what can I do? I jump on my tractor. I can split wood. I can move around. I'll just keep, I'll just keep active. I'll do that. Oh my God, I hurt. I'm sore. My body.
There's body trauma too.
Gosh.
There's body trauma.
Are we
too.
going into a session?
I would say you better be careful. You're going to get a session right here and there. We're going to make sure that this is captured.
Body trauma.
It's exactly
so
what
it's in there. It's definitely
It's a
logged in
real
there. It's a
thing.
trigger.
It's in your cells.
Yeah, the name
It's in your
Jim
cells.
triggers me.
Jim.
Yeah. Not James. I can do James, but Jim, that just triggers me.
I get that.
You
get that.
So the fun part is we just did this course together, which is the Overcoming Overwhelm. understanding stress, trauma, and triggers.
Mhm.
Why did you pick those 3 words as your subtitle? And
Well,
understanding
originally I
them?
was thinking trauma,
Mhm.
and then realized that the minute you say trauma, a lot of people check out because they think, well, I haven't had any like sexual abuse or major thing happen in my life, and there's some truth to that. Like trauma is sexual abuse and really big things, but trauma is actually bigger than that, and people don't realize that. So I wanted to definitely talk about trauma because I think a lot more people have some kind of trauma that they're dealing with that they don't even realize.
Mhm.
But then I realized, wow, stress and triggers are all a part of the same kind of thing.
Mhm.
And so why not? Why
Why
not
not
just
just
throw them all in
Throw
there?
all the scary words into one spot.
Throw them all in one spot because they all create overwhelm, and they all, the journey God has had me on now in the last few years as a psychologist is now really going after the body and understanding the body and how the body psychologically is a factor in all of this. So at the end of the day, stress, trauma, triggers is all about your body, having a reaction. And if you don't know that, you can spin in the process of like, well, what is this about? And, let me lie on the couch and talk about my mother. But if you don't help the body then come back, that would be like you going to the gym and completely ignoring your body, right? If you don't focus on the fact that this is my brain thinking that it's always in a threat, then you're not going to be able to heal. So stress, even though it's more probably benign or seemingly benign versus trauma, it's all the same thing. It's all your body reacting to something that it perceives as threatening, or your mind also reacting to something that it perceives as threatening. But now you've got all the chemicals. You've got, literally are sitting in a soup of chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline, right? And so now the body is taking, if you think body, soul, spirit, right now, which one's running the show? In trauma or when we're in stress or we're triggered, the body and the brain are running the show.
Yeah.
And that's why later when all those, stress hormones calm down and you look back and you go, oh boy.
Did I do that?
Did I say that? Did I think that way? I can't believe I even saw it that way. Like
Hulk smash.
that felt
Yeah.
like a 10 and now I look at it and it's a 2. It's a 2. Oh no. So that's a body. That's your brain. There's no shame in that, but let's understand that. So I wanted people to understand that. I wanted to teach that, and I wanted to make it accessible. So whether you have, big T trauma, we talk about that in the course, or you just want help with everyday stress, understanding your physiology will help you with that greatly, and it takes the shame out of it immensely.
When I think of the word trauma, or just the way it's used today, it is morphed so much, and I think PTSD really kind of ushered in the idea that trauma is something that will happen to your soul, because trauma centers and head trauma and
Physical trauma,
all that was so related to the body in my understanding of trauma for so long.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So when you begin to I've yet to hear it, spirit trauma, but maybe that's on the horizon, but body was war and car accidents and, just concussions and what have you. And now we have this actual understanding of post-traumatic stress, like, wow, that has messed up a bunch of folks. And now it has come down to, being in a dysfunctional relationship, you have PTSD from that relationship.
It can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can happen.
So, you go all the way from war to, just a gnarly experience.
Yeah. So when we're talking about, big T trauma, we're talking about life-threatening kind of things, But anytime we're experiencing something that overwhelms our ability to cope, right, that can be experienced as a trauma.
Yeah.
So that's where relationship stress, ongoing relationship stress, it continually is exceeding your ability to deal with it. Well, your brain and body are going to start to, try to manage that for you. It's actually the brain's survival mechanism.
Sure.
It's trying to help you.
Yeah.
But then we can get stuck. We can get stuck always in fight or flight.
Running from the saber-toothed tigers.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is
why
your
people stay in abusive relationships or dysfunctional relationships. That's the flight or freeze.
So your body starts to catalog this as normal.
Yeah. Okay.
And so now it looks for normal. It's used to getting that hit of adrenaline and cortisol every day.
Wow.
And it's like, oh, this is what we do. And you start to get a little healthy and peaceful, and your brain goes, where's my cortisol
That's
and my
wrong.
adrenaline?
Yeah.
And then we
I
call
don't
it.
want peace. I want war.
War, exactly. Right. And then so we tend to reenact our traumas, whether that's childhood neglect or, whatever it may be. It's what becomes normal to the brain. So part of getting whole is needing to teach the brain a new way of doing things. And that can be a little bit of a challenge, but it's completely doable. But, we love to say in our world, never the same, never the same.
Yeah.
Like this happened and I was never the same. In that moment, it was like, when you have a, what do they call that on your phone? When you have to
Reboot.
update. When you update your phone. In those moments when someone's like, I don't even think that way anymore. I can't even think that way anymore. They actually had an update.
Yes.
Their brain
Yes.
had an update.
Yes. We're on
And that's what we all
3.0.
want.
Yeah.
Like when they come to me, they're like, can you give me an update? Can
I
you
need
just
a
download it
software
right
update.
now?
Yes, please. Yes.
I want to go to sleep and wake up new.
Keep getting notifications.
There's this thing that won't leave me
Ignore,
alone.
ignore,
Yeah.
ignore.
Yeah, not now.
Wow.
No, tomorrow.
Yes.
Remind me tomorrow. Come
Yes.
back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we can update. Sometimes it happens in a transformational moment where you're like, I don't know what just happened, but it just changed. But sometimes it's you've got the old one and you build, and then finally it equals out and your brain goes, oh, we don't need the old anymore. So both, I tell people both is transformation. Are you willing to do the work if maybe your brain needs that kind of transformation? If for whatever reason you're not going to get the instant transformation.
Is this kind of like Caroline Leaf has the switch on your brain, like the highways that you are, the patterns, you carve out these highways of normal until you create a roadblock and you have to move yourself to thinking differently?
Yes. So the brain learns by repetition. Why? Because you creating those neural pathways. And the more you repeat something, which this is so humbling and convicting to me. What are the things that I repeat every frickin' day?
Yeah.
Every day.
I'm reading the
Whatever
Atomic
you
Habits, and
repeat,
it's putting it in
you
front of
will learn and you will be.
You will do.
If
Yeah.
it's good, great. If it's not. But the good news about that is you can change that.
You can upload,
Yeah.
upgrade.
Yeah. So yeah, the neural pathways. Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
It's wild to think about. I'm reading the Atomic Habits book. It talks about what are the first 5 things you do every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And I found myself irritated.
Convicted?
Yeah.
Disappointed.
Sure.
I'm so disappointed in me right now.
Why?
Yeah.
And then without having, and I just was reading this today, without creating an actual plan and telling yourself this is how and why I'm going to do this.
Yep.
You just have good intentions. You're like,
You'll just
I
do
wanna
the same thing
change
you did
this.
yesterday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So kind of the activation of I'm putting the roadblock in, I'm trying to redirect myself to a new path of a simple change of, maybe you had a great session with your therapist and they're helping
Well,
you.
you told me the story yesterday of doing a SWAT with your family,
I
which
did.
blew me away. I'm like, what family does SWAT? I don't think I've ever done a SWAT in my whole life.
Sure.
So what I saw happen when you were talking about that SWAT is it made you slow down and notice what were our automatic patterns that we've just learned. Like it's innocent, right?
Mhm.
What are
And
our automatic patterns?
Really, what were the patterns that we thought nobody else could see
Yeah.
that maybe we were aware of aren't so great?
What did we think we were getting away with?
And who pointed them out?
Yeah.
Oh, the children.
Yes.
All the children said,
The students.
The students. You
Teacher.
keep saying this thing is really important, but you're not acting like it's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But
you know
teacher,
it's
you
that.
spell it like this.
Yes, exactly. It was, I think the beauty of our family and our culture is giving space for that feedback with the kids and leaning into, okay, what are we going to do? Because either we keep teaching them that what we say isn't as important, or we actually make change and we say it is important, which I want them to grow up believing our words and what we say and support. So
And they're watching you
all the time.
change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they watched you on this, I think I'm getting away with this. And then you get feedback, you get confronted within your family unit, and you adjust.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, the leaders adjust to feedback. I guess we all adjust to feedback. And that's culture.
Which is a fun thing, but it did cause a trigger in a moment. I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. So leading with your body, definitely my breath was it was shallow, it was quick, it was okay. Don't turn red of embarrassment right now. That was definitely in that moment. Later on, Ben and I were laughing, but it's just kind of, you're talking about your body, and we did this course, and I feel like I'm so aware of, what am I doing? Oh my gosh, I'm doing that thing. It's happening. It's happening to me. So thank you. And I'm frustrated at the same time. I'm so aware of, oh, I need to slow down. Why do I need to slow down?
Well, it's like, I don't know about you, but when I first tried to learn to drive, I remember feeling like, you need me to watch this mirror and that mirror and look over here.
I'm watching my daughter do it right now.
I couldn't do it all. So I think when you learn something new, it feels like that. Like you feel hyper vigilant of it all.
Sure.
But over time, it becomes more natural and you do it
I'm
automatically.
praying so. I'm praying that's what's
keep
going to happen.
practicing and you'll create a new neural pathway.
A new one. All right, we're just putting up our blocks. Okay, no, we're going this way, guys. We're going this way. But yeah, no, the driving analogy is great. I do remember feeling overwhelmed. That mirror, how many mirrors am I supposed to look at one time in 30 seconds?
I remember we got to the bottom of our hill. There's a stop sign, and Levi, 16-year-old Levi, says, "Which way turns that blinker on?" I'm like, up.
Because you don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah, I'm searching. Like I don't even know the answer to that question.
It's
Oh,
been
I guess
stored
I
in your
do.
memory.
I guess I do.
Yes.
It's just way
No,
back
it's stored. It's automatic. It's a beautiful thing.
there. Yeah.
So the course that we have that you did, Overcoming Overwhelm, Understanding Your Stress Triggers or Trauma and Triggers, is an amazing course that we have now. It's on our Life Caddy Academy. Life Caddy.
Life Caddy.
Life
That
Academy.
works.
That
Life
too.
Academy.
Just pull it behind you. Just carry it around.
But you've partnered with us, which we feel so honored to have you join us and really bring your gifts to people that trust us and hopefully trust you, because we trust you. But what would you tell people that they're going to receive and experience from this course if they take it? Like, what's your heart for them?
My heart is to give you new language that will make your brain go, oh, I've never thought about it this way. And because you've never thought about it this way, when you start applying what you learn in the course, you're going to see change quickly and almost immediately, because it's going to pull you out of the way you've been thinking about it. That may help, but it's limiting you from the ways in which you're not quite making it click for yourself. So stress is something we experience every day.
Right.
Even in my own life, there's just ways I'm used to handling certain things. Like you didn't see it. You needed someone else to go to wake you up. And it was a little bit of a harsh reality at first. You feel a little ashamed. But because I bring in the body so much in this conversation, you're going to feel so empowered because it's just a reaction. Just like thoughts are just thoughts. You don't have to believe every thought that you have. And you don't have to think every bodily reaction means the end of the world either. So if you can understand how you're designed, then you can work with it, which is what I hear you describing. Like, I'm so aware now, but I'm aware now. And so I feel empowered to do something.
Make a change, make an adjustment.
And my body's actually trying to help me. You know, it's like the dash lights on your car, your body's starting to overheat. Well, you can keep driving, but please slow down. Why don't you slow down and figure out what's happening? And then your body and everything's going to function better, and you're going to move faster towards where you want to go. So I think people are going to come away feeling more empowered with really practical things that they're going to try, and they're going to see shift right away. That's my hope. And then they can get back to the business of what's important to me. And now, how can I use all of this to help me? In psychology, we call this a stress enhancing mindset. So when you get overwhelmed by stress, stress is scary and you hate it and you want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But when you understand that stress doesn't have to be bad, then you use it to work for you. So really great athletes are really good at that. We just all watched the Olympics. I mean, I can't imagine the amount of stress.
You watch the Olympics?
Well, I mean, I watched parts of it.
You're the one.
I'm the one person.
Yeah, the only one.
And so I think, elite athletes become elite athletes, not just because they're talented, but because they've learned how to manage this and manage their physiological responses and make it work towards you. So why not be the elite athletes in stress, trauma, and triggers? Is that so corny?
Just the hope of stress doesn't have to disable me or paralyze me.
Yeah.
Just that revelation right there, that people can lean into it instead of just be paralyzed of it.
Yeah.
There you go. It's an empowering thought that, I mean, honestly, stress, I am avoiding stress almost as much as possible, but now I'm thinking, okay, I am going to have stress. It's not going to go anywhere. So what are we going to do with it?
It's when you label something like stress and you only use it in a negative connotation, then everyone automatically believes, oh, that is bad.
Yeah.
That's something to avoid.
Yeah.
And I heard somebody recently talking about, when you retire, you have this picture in your head that your life's going to be stress-free. You're going to go to a Corona commercial, and you're going to just sit there for the rest of your life. Or like heaven. People think that heaven is a giant Corona commercial. You just sit there and worship God on the beach. And no, heaven's got to be better than earth was, right? And so much of earth's fulfillment is our lives engaged where there is stress. So you can only go relax on a beach for so long, and then you're stressed out from that. You're like, I am stressed out of boredom. You're like, please, somebody do something.
I don't know, Danny. I'm really good at doing nothing.
Girl,
I've made an art of
girl.
doing nothing. Don't let the
Girl.
doctorate fool you.
Girl.
I'm really good at doing nothing.
Yeah, I could tell. So there is that engagement stress that comes from interacting with people and solving problems and getting results. And there is this reward loop that happens in our systems that we keep working back to joy. We keep working back to joy. And I think that's hardwired into our creation, that we are, we're in need of a comforter. We're in need of a counselor. We're in need of to be reminded of stuff because of this loop. And if we short circuit that with drugs or avoidance or neglect or whatever, then I think we really are missing the whole point of a satisfying life. Is there is a way to put these trials and tribulations to work to get us back to joy.
Yeah, it's survival mode. And we all know it. We've all been in survival mode. And sometimes we don't know anything else. We're doing our best, right? But deep inside us, we have that nag.
Yeah.
Like something I don't feel fully alive. I don't feel like fully me. If this is all life is, like, really? Really? So listen to that.
Yeah.
Right? Because you will have that because you were created for something more. And you're in survival mode. Once again, no shame in that. So how can we help you get out of survival mode? Because survival mode for too long, stress isn't the problem. Chronic stress is the problem. And believe it or not, survival mode, the person sitting on the beach because they don't know what else to do, that's chronic stress, and they just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting back to joy, I think that would be survival mode. Like, I'm just living in the stress.
Right.
I never got back to the joy.
Yes.
So stress should lead me to some level of satisfaction in life.
It can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can absolutely help you get back to what's important to you.
Yeah, it's like the fuel almost.
Yes.
Yeah. We're back to that.
We are. Well, thank you so much for joining us
Awesome.
on this
This is
KYLO
fun.
show.
Yeah.
It was fun to just pick your brain and have you share your heart for this course that you've partnered with us in, and I'm so excited for everyone to have access to it. So, just remember that whole healthy families are going to save the world. And thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for listening. Never miss an episode of The KYLO Show by subscribing to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or watch us on the Loving on Purpose YouTube channel. Don't forget to submit your questions and testimonies to thekyloshow.com. The KYLO Show is produced by Ali Armerding, co-produced by Ashley Beck and Anna Hill, sound engineered and edited by Taylor Silk, and show promoter Christian Zamora. Don't forget, whole healthy families gonna save the world.